Hi everybody, it's Tamara from Eyes, and today we are going to do a quick little walkthrough of this cute little, it's a mini journal I guess, that is full of all this wonderful handmade paper that I made. But before we do that, I thought it might be nice to show you all of the different varieties of paper that you can make once you get into making paper. So I'll do a quick walkthrough of some of the other papers that I haven't put into journals yet, and then we'll look at my mini. So back in the spring I did a little course for 3 weeks I think on how to use a Hollander beater, and that's this sort of a large machine that you use when you want to use natural fibers to make paper, and it beats the fibers down into these until they're to their base level so that you can mix it in with a slurry and pull paper from it. And so that was really interesting. And so we did a lot of Abaca, and I think this is the Abaca, if you can see it there. It's quite thin. So Abaca is like a banana leaf, I believe. And there's some more, and this one has just the faintest little bit of glitter in it, and it's really fine. There's a little bit of stamping I did on this one. It's gorgeous paper because it's got a lot of that natural look to it. We also did some I think lily leaves. I think that might be this one here, and you can see a lot more of the fibers on this one. And then I'll show you an experiment that went wrong. First of all, we were making paper from paper as well, and we just I love the look of this one actually. We just sort of tore up like construction paper and in little chunks and stuck that in, and it got this look, and it almost looks like flower petals. And then I tried an inclusion, and I put a pansy in, which had been sprayed with a fixative to make sure that the color wouldn't seep into the paper. But that's what happened. It's just sort of, all the color ran out of the flower petals, and it looks like somebody stuck their coffee cup on there for 3 days and forgot it there or something. It looks pretty ugly. So I don't know what will become of that piece of paper. We also did some where we put some silk threads and embroidery threads and that kind of thing in with it, and I do love that one, but that would probably be really good for the background on a photography mat or something like that, because I don't think you could write on this one. So anyways, those are some that I made with the Hollander beater from natural fibers. And then this summer I came home and I started making just paper from paper, but I really enjoy it, and it's a fun process. So what I normally do, and I talk about this a little bit while I'm doing the flip through of the video, is that I will start my batch by just making a plain batch. Plain as can be. And for this particular one, it's so white because so normally I take all my bank statements and receipts and invoices and all that kind of paper that you get that's garbage after you've paid your bill, and I put that all through the shredder, and I have a couple of giant garbage bags full. So I take that, and that's what I use to make all this paper. So for this one, I took only white pieces of paper. It was paper that didn't have any color in it, and so that's why this one is so plain. And then what I did was I started to add some confetti pieces. And so I have all these different punches that I finally get to use, and I can make all these different kinds of confetti with. And then once I've done a batch or so with confetti, then I'll maybe try to throw in some glitter. This one Has some purple glitter on it. It comes out really subtle actually, even though you can pour a whole package of glitter in there and it still comes out really subtle. So that's those ones. And then what I did was I just took anything out of the bag of paper. I didn't care about what color it was or anything like that. So I had, you know, business envelopes and, like I said, all that other, you know, government forms and things like that. So I got a little bit more color. Let's see here. And some of the pieces didn't break down quite as much, so you get some of these big chunks in there too. And yeah, and this is, you can see a little bit more. You get stuff like this that adds some color into it. And then what I did, my neighbor still has her Christmas tree out in her backyard, which is really strange because it's August now. But so it's gone all this, the pine needles have gone all kind of goldy brown. So I went and I took some pine needles off of her dead Christmas tree and I started to add that into my slurry. And so that adds another dimension and adds, I think, to the natural look of the paper. So I really like those pieces. And as you can see, they're, I don't know if you can tell, they're quite thick and they're, you know, they're not as light as those first ones I showed you. So those are sort of those are probably 8 by 10 size, and so the idea is that I'll, you know, fold them in half and I'll use them for books. And then I've got these smaller ones that are, I think they're 5 by 7, and again, I can fold them in half and get like a nice little mini book, or you can leave it full size. So this one I used just business envelopes, which is why it sort of came out looking the same as a business envelope. There's not a lot of texture or variety in that one, but this one I've got a little bit more. There we go. And I didn't add confetti, that's just from the different types of papers that I used in it. This one, actually the glitter sort of bunched up and you can really see the glitter on that one. So that's kind of fun. And then I made my own frames for pulling up, and I know that's not the right word, I'll have to think about what the right word is, but for pulling up the paper out of the slurry. And so so I used those two sizes that I just showed you, and then I started to make these longer, skinnier ones, and I don't have the dimensions on this one, but I thought this might be fun either for a bigger book, or what I'll do is every page comes out and it will fold out like that on a smaller book. That's the idea. We'll see. It's just an experiment. On this one I tried some inclusions, so some natural materials, and so far there was not really much color in them, so it hasn't spread or rotted out like that other one. So there's some ideas for you and some examples of the different paper I'm making. Oh, and one other thing that I started experimenting with as well was scanning all of these papers. And I kind of like how it's turning out. It looks, because I have a portable scanner that I can use, so the quality is pretty good and it looks pretty much like the papers, but of course it doesn't have that feel or texture or the weight of a handmade paper, and that's really the whole point of a handmade paper, isn't it? But I thought this might be fun to use in some of my junk journals for those pages that you want to look like handmade paper, but you still want to be able to write on. So that's another little experiment that I'm working on. Anyways, so now let's get to the book and I'll show you what's inside. It's sort of a junk journal because it's made from junk, but it's not your typical junk journal. So I made the covers out of, I think I cut up a cereal box, and then it's got some beautiful crochet lace on the outside. And then I just sewed some papers on top of the cereal box to give it this look, which I think is a really pretty, sort of very vintagey look. And then inside, and there are 3 signatures. They're very small signatures though. I think there's only 3 pages that are folded in half for each one, and they're all fairly blank, because this is really just about the papers. There's a little bit of decoration, but mostly it's all about the paper. And you can see the first ones are pretty plain, and that's usually what I'll do. I'll start out making a batch with just plain, and then I'll add some confetti, and then maybe I'll add some glitter, and then, you know, some other inclusions, so that I can get the most out of one batch. So this is fairly thick paper. It's thick, but it's still fairly fragile. And I think what I'll probably use this little book for is, you know, sketching and drawing, maybe just with pencil or charcoal or something like that, so I don't have to worry about, you know, ink running or spreading onto the other pages, that kind of thing. So it's just some handmade paper, a little bit of stamping here and there throughout. I just wanted to sort of see how the ink sat on the paper, and it did a pretty good job. And I think this is Distress ink from Ranger, if I'm not mistaken. More the same. This is the second signature. So here you can see where I've added some, these are some little pink heart confetti. A little bit more, some butterflies there, because that's what I always like to put a butterfly in there somewhere. There's always got to be a few more hearts. So it's really just about the paper in this one. A little bit of washi tape. And then I think we get to the end, and that's it. One more butterfly, of course. So this is a really quick and easy project. Well, I shouldn't say quick. It takes a while to make paper. But once the paper's made, this is a really cute little booklet to put together. And it's nice and handy. It's a little thick, but it's small and it's sturdy. So I'm looking forward to making more of these. And there you go. So if you want to see more of my journaling and other crafting and sewing projects, hit that subscribe button somewhere down below there, or come on over to Instagram and follow me over there, because I post over there almost every day, at least a few times a week, and you can see what I'm working on over there. Okay, so great. Thanks very much for joining me today, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.